Well, we have some breaking news. Klaus Schwab is gone. No, he has not died, although that could still happen very, very soon. He has officially stepped down from leadership at the World Economic Forum, which is good. It could also mean a double-edged sword, which is kind of the same predicament that we're facing here in Canada with Justin Trudeau. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage everyone to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already. It really helps grow the channel, as well as remind you that if you want a Stop the WEF sticker, I guess these are obsolete now or soon to be once the end of this video happens. You can find the link for this down in the description or the pinned comment below. Now, let's get into this video here. So let's take a look at the update in the polls. You have Conservative projected at 217 seats with a bottom line of 190, top end at 236. They, of course, only need 172. I still think that the closer we get to the summer where they take off for the summer break, you're going to see this climb above 220, might even be 223. I don't know if it'll go up to 230. That is super, super aggressive, but we'll have to see. There's just a lot of momentum towards disliking Justin Trudeau. 99% likely of winning the most seats and 99% likely of winning a majority. So the polls are still looking chef kiss copacetic. Speaking of kisses, this is not somebody you're going to want to kiss. Freeland, who is obviously on the World Economic Forum's website. The dishonorable, oh, they have a typo there. The dishonorable Freeland is Canada's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. Why are we talking about her? Well, she just recently gave a press conference early this morning. Let's take a look at what she has to say.
Any announcement towards combating auto theft is a welcoming step by the government. And in last so many years, so much of damage has already been done. And who is accountable for that? And what is the damage? Canadians wanted to see the changes in the criminal code in the last 5 years. They wanted to see the effective bail reforms so that criminals were behind the bars. We had seen recent Highway 401 crash where 1 3-year baby and grandparents, they died, and those suspects were out on the bail. Same things we are seeing now also. Scanners, in the budget is mentioned that over the next 3 to 5 years we'll get the scanners. Why don't we get the scanners in last 3 to 4 years? And loss to Canadian taxpayers is approximately $1 billion every year. If we calculate last 5 years, it's a $5 billion loss, 50,000 of insurance claims, and there's a taxpayer's money. And then we give 15 billion to other countries also. So 20 billion, we could not have improve our healthcare system where emergencies wait time is 5 to 6 hours. Thank you.
You see a lot of us here today, a lot of federal MPs and ministers, a lot of elected officials from Brampton, from Mississauga. You see some of our senior law enforcement leaders here. We're here on Victoria Day because we take this issue extremely seriously. We know the challenge is real and urgent. And the reality is we have a plan with specific, tough measures. Many of them require actual legislation. They require changes to the laws we have on the books. We have put forward that legislation, and now it needs to be passed. And it can sometimes feel like parliamentary maneuvers that you see in Ottawa are just about political games, and they don't affect, you know, an ordinary person just living their regular life in their community, in a beautiful community like Brampton. But that's not true. Oh. We need these measures to be passed. And
you know that this is just, it's all lies when she says a beautiful community like Brampton. Sorry, but no one's falling for that. Also, why are you going to go around and talk about how unaffordable life is for everybody else while you wear these pearl necklaces? It's just so, it's so delusionary, man. These people, they're sitting up on their gold thrones, so to speak, probably quite literally in their houses that are funded by taxpayers. And they talk about, we're going to make life affordable. Everybody's struggling. Everybody's struggling. They have private security. They got people doing their groceries. We're paying their mortgages. Like, we're paying everything for these people. Their net worths should be barely in the hundreds of thousands because that's what their salary is. And somehow their net worth is in the tens of millions. It doesn't make any sense. But how can you blame them when they've been actually penetrated by Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. That's not coming out of my mouth. That's coming out of Klaus Schwab's mouth. Let's take a look at this older video here of Klaus quite literally saying that he has penetrated cabinets around the world, including Justin Trudeau and his Liberal cabinet.
When I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And that's true in Argentina too. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's true in Argentina as well.
It's true in Argentina, and it's true in France now. Mm-hmm. I mean, with the president, who is a young global leader, but what is important...
So it is something to very much worry about, this young global leader program that no country signed up for. Canada did not sign up for this. Absolutely not. And there's only really one politician or one political leader in Canada who is actively campaigning against the World Economic Forum. Brace yourself. Chances are you know who I'm talking about. But let's take a look at this clip of Pierre Poilievre literally saying that him and his cabinet will have nothing to do with the World Economic Forum, or they will be banished from the Conservatives. There's no reason for the World Economic Forum to be a part of Canadian politics, for politicians to flee to their retreats and to their seminars. They're not a government. They're a private organization that are quite literally controlling all of major governments around the world. Not directly controlling, but indirectly with incentives, with brainwashing, whatever it is that you want to include in there. Let's take a look at what Pierre has to say.
Free again with Rebel News. In the past several times, you have denounced the World Economic Forum, and you've made it clear to pledge that if your party forms government, you will ban your cabinet ministers from being involved with the World Economic Forum. Yet, I'm also aware of many Canadians who applaud you for saying that, but also have reservations on whether or not the claim is authentic because they see images of your name being on the World Economic Forum site, and also because you worked closely with former MP John Baird, who at one point was a World Economic Forum young global leader in a campaign. So my question for clarification purposes, for those concerned about foreign globalist organizations potentially encroaching on our nation's sovereignty, does your pledge to ban cabinet ministers from being associated with or involved with the WEF expand to those you hire as staff as well as advisors?
Yes. No staff, no ministers, no MPs in my caucus will be involved whatsoever in that organization. It is a group of high-flying, high-tax, high-carbon hypocrites who all got on their private jets to fly off to a remote ski village where they talked about how working class people should not be allowed to heat their homes or drive their pickup trucks. I'm not going to work for a group of globalist billionaires who serve their own interests at the expense of everyone else. And I'd like to specifically point out Mark Carney. Here he was, celebrating the central banks who caused the inflation by printing trillions of dollars so that people like multimillionaires like him could have their asset values inflated, while the purchasing power of working class people and seniors was wasted away by inflation. A massive wealth transfer from the have-nots to the have-yachts. A common-sense conservative government will bring home control of our democracy to this country, and it's not just on that issue. We will ban the IRGC to end the interference of the 700 agents that are operating in this country on behalf of the terrorist regime in Tehran, and that's according to Global News. We will shut down foreign-controlled police stations. We will bring in a foreign influence registry. We will bring home control of our democracy, and we'll make this a country that works for its people, the common people, and the common sense of the common people, united for our common home. Thank you.
Okay, this is what I love about Pierre is and this isn't to blow smoke up his ass. Pierre is a leader by example. He doesn't talk about how we need to cut costs, how we need to do dollar for dollar, dollar spend, dollar saving in Canada without actually showing that he's the real deal. And you're never, ever, ever going to see Pierre brag about this. And chances are you're not going to really see the Conservative Party brag about this on his behalf. It's going to be left up to people like me to mention this. Pierre, and I'm absolutely okay with this. Pierre Poilievre last year spent the least amount of money out of what the government has, right? Those business credit cards, right? He spent I think it was like $68,000 of expenses to cover maybe even travel and hotel. And that's part of the gig. You become a politician, right? Yeah, you should be spending stuff out of your personal salary, and chances are he does. But he has spent the least amount of taxpayers' money last year, and chances are it's going to repeat itself and repeat itself and repeat itself time and time and time again. Where you have on the opposite spectrum, Jagmeet Singh, who has spent the most out of any politician in Canada last year. These people that are preaching climate change, that are preaching we need to do something to save the environment, it's to pander votes unless they're actually leading by example. Okay, think of an old school battlefield like Braveheart. You don't have the main leader who sits back on his throne and directs everybody. You have the main leader out on the battlefield with you. And that's, so to speak, with a much less dramatic touch to it, what Pierre Poilievre is doing. He's doing an excellent job of showing. I mean, he flies economy. I think he's even taken public transport. He's been seen showing up to rallies in like a Honda Civic or like a similar type of car. Okay, he's not... I don't understand any sort of conspiracies towards Pierre. Not that there are many, but he's really showing that he's in it to make a change. And the fact that he's calling out, they're not just buzzwords, these jet-setting hypocrites that are flying in their jets, emitting all of these emissions across the world to go to these organizations that have absolutely nothing to do with each individual country's, policies or politics. Pierre is not a part of that. He's not caught in any sort of hypocrisy, which is great. And if he were to have been caught, I think it would have happened by now. But keep going the route that you're going down, Pierre, because it's great. And eventually people are going to realize that you are the real deal, above and beyond what he already appears to be, right? It's not just buzzwords. It's not just catchphrases to get you all riled up. A lot of it is very much the truth, and he means it. He's very consistent. There hasn't been any flaws in his speech or his actions. So that should show you that this is, this could be the guy to fix a lot of our problems. Now, that is going to take time. That's its own issue, but I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Next up, we have, the news of the meat and potatoes of the video. Klaus Schwab is stepping back from executive posts. This is coming from Semaphore, and it's also on Yahoo Finance. So you get to take your pick. Let's go with Yahoo, because I think a lot of people might prefer that. The scoop. World Economic Forum founder and executive chairman Klaus Schwab will be stepping back from his role during the global gathering since he founded it in 1971. Schwab announced his intentions in an email to staff on Tuesday that was shared with Semaphore. Where we just were. Okie dokie, maybe I picked the wrong article to read. By a person connected to the organization. He will be stepping down as an executive chairman and transitioning to a role as non-executive chairman, he said, adding the change in his role is pending approval by the Swiss government. In a statement, a spokesperson to the forum said that the organization is transforming from a convening platform to a leading global institution for public-private cooperation. The forum's governance structure is set to change as a result of that evolution, the spokesperson said, and Schwab will transition from executive chairman to chairman of the board of trustees by January 2025. It almost seems too convenient that he's put in place all of these policies, this whole momentum of the World Economic Forum. You will own nothing. You will be happy, right? I mean, for crying out loud, I have stickers about him being penetrated by Justin Trudeau here on my coffee mug, which is not taken out of context, as you just saw in the video clip. And now it seems like he's almost dodging accountability, right? He doesn't want to be the center of attention towards all the probably massive backlash and controversy that's going to happen between now and 2025, especially with all of the world elections that are happening between now and then. It just seems very odd timing. Not to get too conspiratorial, right? As you can see, my tinfoil hat is not on today. And yeah, let me know down below if you think that this is a little bit of a coincidence. Schwab has not blamed his successor, but said that over the last year, the group's executive board, under the leadership of President Borge Brende, has taken full executive responsibility. Brende is a former Norwegian conservative leader. Schwab 86 is synonymous with the organization that he has managed for more than 50 years. Initially known as a European Management Forum, early iterations of the event drew far fewer attendees to Davos than the thousands that now ascend to the Swiss mountain town. It's bigger than ever, and that's kind of the scariest part about all this is they've become insanely popular, and countries that have new leadership seem to be flocking towards this for God knows what reason. What kind of perks are these people getting? Pearl necklaces? Freeland? I don't know. The WEF, through a nonprofit, yeah, right, is a remarkable business. The organization brought in nearly $500 million in revenue in the year ending March 2023 and had a neat 200 million Swiss francs sitting in cash. How? What are they doing? Like, they're just piggybacking like cockroaches off of other countries. There is no reason for our government, or any government, but specifically Canada. There's no reason for a Canadian government to be tied to a World Economic Forum. It doesn't benefit Canadians. In fact, it does the opposite. It adds so much distrust in our politicians in the system when they are so easily penetrated by some evil-looking Lex Luthor German or Swiss-speaking guy across the country who has no accountability to any of this. He's not held responsible at the end of the day when everything comes crumbling down. It's freaking scary, man. It's absolutely scary. And one of the biggest global leaders or youth leaders or whatever the hell they're called is Chrystia Freeland. She has absolutely loved these panels, and we're going to take a look at her attendance from a couple of years ago. Let's take a look at this video.
In Canada, we are a trading nation.
There she is with the pearl necklaces.
Trade accounts for about 60% of our GDP.
Thanks, Claus.
We're very committed to it. We know we have to be, because that's where the good middle class jobs are, and jobs in the tradable sector are actually better paying than in the non-traded sectors. We get that. But we also know Canadians need to support trade for us to keep on doing it. It's one of the reasons we're so committed to the middle class agenda. And to prove my optimism to Larry, I want to say it can be done. So right now, I think a lot of people would categorize this as an era of anti-globalization, anti-trade. Well, in the past 2 years, Canada has renegotiated NAFTA with you guys. We have done a trade deal with Europe, CETA, and we have done a trade deal with the Asia Pacific, CPTPP. Canada is now the only G7 country that has a trade deal with every other G7 country. And I think a big reason why Canadians support that, and they support it very broadly, is we are focused on the middle class and on the middle class agenda.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Canada's made a bunch of bad deals, and we have people that are going to be held accountable very, very soon. You're going to see that. It's reflected in the polls. It's going to be reflected when it comes time to vote, and it's time for a change. Since the World Economic Forum is changing leadership, why don't we do the same in Canada, right? What do you think about that, folks? Let me know down in the comments. Who's going to replace Claus? I mean, there's been speculation in the past that it could be Chrystia Freeland, that she could just switch over, since they are talking about Mark Carney coming in and replacing Justin Trudeau. Who's going to take over those positions? I don't know, but it seems like Canadian politicians have been groomed for, you know, bigger and better things, so to speak. At least that's their interpretation of it, such as the World Economic Forum. So we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. But again, I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. That's where we're going to end it, folks. On your way out, I'd like to encourage you guys to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.